Hello and welcome back to the channel. HeirofCarthage here, and I'm going to be bringing you another battle replay today. This is another one I played with Indy. This is going to be a Kislev versus Khorne domination battle. Should be a lot of fun. Just real quick before I jump in, some of you are probably like, Air, where's the campaigns? This week at work has been nuts. It's actually Friday night when I'm recording this. I mean, I have been crazy busy. It'll probably, taper off over the next couple of weeks and I'll be able to get back into a normal. Does that mean no campaigns? No, the campaigns are going to come. They're just going to get delayed every now and then, like they're delayed right now, but it's going to come. Don't worry. I got it. I have a bunch of recording time Saturday night, my time, and I will be able to get some caught up then, so keep an eye out for it. So yeah, the Satsuma campaign, Kislev, Tzeentch, we'll be getting back to all that, so worry not. But in the meantime, this is all I have time to record, and I don't want to leave you without content, so let's check this one out. It was a fun battle. As you can see from the name, it's a very close battle. I won't spoil which way it tilts, but it is a close one. We're playing on Galleon's Cove, which is a pretty nice domination map. Has a lot of features and rock faces and stuff like that. Let's talk a little bit about the matchup here. So Kislev versus Khorne. Obviously, Khorne is supreme in just going into a straight-up melee. Kislev has no business sitting in a melee with Khorne. In fact, Kislev is pretty crappy in most melees, right? Especially when it comes to infantry. So I'm going to be taking advantage of some units for Kislev that I really like, and that is going to be their bear sleds. Bear sleds are a very effective anti-infantry tool that can also poke at large units and basically everything else with their guns from range. They are very, very useful. Now, other units I'm going to be bringing to bear here, bringing to bear. I didn't intend that pun, but it came out. I've got some Ice Guard with swords and some Armored Cuissars. Armored Cuissars are a short-range missile hybrid infantry that's very defensive. Ice Guard is a very offensively capable in melee against low armor, but you don't want to get charged. So I've got the Ice Guard to cause damage from range and then be backup for a melee. So the sleds are my main damage dealers. I do have Tsarina Katerin down here, and I've got a bunch of Ice Guard with swords and Armored Cuissars, and we'll see how things go. Now, there are some halberds out for Khorne. Khorne was obviously expecting me to potentially bring some sleds or other stuff, and I'm not surprised. Khorne's anti-large capability is pretty limited. They only have so many options, and so I was kind of banking on that they would be mostly infantry heavy, and then of course my missiles were meant to damage anything large or mobile. You can see here, I'm going to get up and start contesting. I want my Armored Cuissars. These are an infantry unit that won't get any value if they're just left to melee. They need to be shooting. Over here, I'm contesting, or getting ready to contest another point. You can see more halberds and warriors from Khorne. And then Skarbrand is not the leader, is an exalted bloodthirster, which is going to be a very powerful unit. I'm using some magic to slow enemies down here, but it didn't work on the bloodthirster for some reason. And he gets straight into my Ice Guard, so not a great initial engagement for me here after doing some decent damage. He's got Flesh Hounds to back it up now, and so right now my troops are going to be feeling the wrath of Khorne, and that wrath is going to be rather extreme and painful. I did summon in a heavy war sled. I'll be bringing that to bear as soon as I'm able to get to it. My micro is obviously busy somewhere else and is struggling at the moment. But back over here, I've got his infantry tied up momentarily with my sleds while my other guys do the shooting. This is how you would want to face Khorne over here. I'm leaving the sleds in a little too long, but you get the idea here where I'm brutalizing his halberds from range, just with the sleds acting as a distraction. Now, Ice Guard with swords are good in melee, but they are not good when they get charged by Flesh Hounds and an exalted bloodthirster. And I just did not have a good way to slow down the exalted bloodthirster here, and unfortunately Katerin is going to pay with her life, and this battle does not start off good for me, as I'm gonna lose my lord before the capturing even begins. So point 2 is obviously not going to go in my favor. Point 3, however, is looking manageable at the moment. I've got my sleds in, just absolutely bashing through these Chaos Warriors, and then I've got my Ice Guard doing some damage from range, and Cuissars supporting. I've got more sleds, so I'm gonna end up just going super sled heavy, and then I've brought in some Warbear Riders, which are an anti-large. So now I'll be able to contest the Bloodthirster, but I'm out of supplies for the moment to bring in more infantry to get after capture points. So this is not an ideal situation for me. I could take the Warbears over here, though, and get to work, but I did get point 3. Indy's got point 2, and he got it a little bit quicker than I did, so he's off to a small lead at the moment. And I'm just going to really keep the harassment up with the sleds. And for the meantime, I'm going to ignore point 2 and roll to point 3. or sorry, 1, and he is probably going to start sending some attention over point 3, I would imagine. And you can see he just called in some Skull Crushers. These Skull Crushers are going to be some powerful anti-armored cavalry here. So they're going to be tanky and difficult to stop unless I have Warbear Riders, and I do not have any Warbear Riders over here at the moment. They cost about 1,600 supplies, so I did bring a couple of units of them as potential, but I don't have them at the moment. So this is going to be a difficult challenge to face over here with the Skull Crushers. I'm going to have to use my troops wisely to be able to do anything about it. I did get some Ice Guard back from routing. I'm going to pull them over here, and I'm going to start capturing point 1. If I get 2 capture points, I'll quickly start to make up the lead, and this is going to force Indy to take the next move and decide where he wants to attack, because he's firmly got point 2, but now the pressure's on. You can see I'm already in the lead, and I just called in some more Warbear Riders to counter his Skull Crushers that I saw moving in over here. So now I've got Warbear Riders protecting both of these points with superior mobility. So now I'm in pretty good shape. But, you know, these battles can swing, so we'll see what's going to happen. He's got more Flesh Hounds coming in. Now, Flesh Hounds are going to be supremely good against Ice Guard, and they will still be pretty darn good against Armored Cassars. Less good against the armor, but still good. So this is going to be an interesting challenge over here, as the numbers are going to start to stack against me, but right now the points are also stacking against him. The challenge we're going to have, though, is that I can get outflanked through this pass while being hit from this direction as well. So numbers are going to start to be an issue. You can see that my supply count is finally getting back up, and we're gaining a small lead. Nothing that's going to be a guaranteed victory, but, you know, any lead is a lead, and I'm happy to have it. One thing I have fortunate going for me is that Khorne's units are extremely expensive. Unfortunately for me, a lot of my units are pretty expensive too, but at least that means that Khorne won't be just, you know, straight up burying me in numbers of troops here. So you see I can use my Warbear Riders. These are very, very good anti-large tool. They are excellent in a melee against large. Now, the problem I have over here is that is 2 Flesh Hounds, a Skull Crusher, and a Bloodthirster. We're going to be outnumbered. So I'm going to use my Sleds to pick at range. I've got my Ice Guard picking at range as well, so we're going to start picking some hit points off of that Bloodthirster. And now you can see that he is kind of taking a bunch of units out of point 2, so I'm going to draw my attention back over there some while I continue to build up supplies and try and get more in here. So I'm playing a very skirmishy role with a little bit of staying power and kind of hoping for the best here. We'll see how it plays out. And then the idea was, because I knew I couldn't really stand in a melee, I did get charged over here, unfortunately, by my Warbear Riders. This was a busy battle. I didn't catch this charge, so this is going to be bad for me because that's a lot of pain coming in towards me. I did get some focused fire with my Cassars on the Exalted Bloodthirster, so although I'm probably going to lose my Warbears at this point, at least I'm causing some severe damage as a result, but there's really no way I can hold point 3. So now the best thing I can do is just cause a bunch of damage and fall back and continue to save my supplies. I brought in some more armored Cassars here with great weapons, and now I'm going to come over here and harass and challenge for point 2 because his Exalted Bloodthirster and his company is now busy here at point 3, and they are winning. No doubt they are winning. I would love to charge these Exalted Bloodletters with my Sleds, but that would result in the sacrifice of my Ice Guard. I have to be very careful about engaging this Exalted Bloodthirster, though I do have my Armored Cassars nearly in range. They could use their Precursor pistols, do a fair bit of damage here as well, but unfortunately for me, this Ice Guard gets absolutely spat on by Khorne, and I'm not entirely surprised. He's going to do a unit summon here as well. But again, at least we made the Bloodthirster pay a bit of a price for that. He lost a lot of hit points, and now I got a decent challenge coming to point 2. But Indy's going to start making up some of the points that I was building up. And so see, as soon as his Bloodthirster pulls out, he doesn't have the weight over here to withstand the sled charge. So I roll in with the Sleds, going to get some quick damage in, and then fall back before his Skull Crushers can arrive, or his Bloodthirster can get back. So now I've got to fall back through my Armored Cassars and not just give up my Sleds. Over here you can see trying to work, but his halberds are being frustrating. I do have some Ice Guard. This is not a great charge for me with the Sleds. I'll get them moving here in a moment. That is a mistake at the moment. I did get some more Ice Guards out back here. They can pick at, I keep saying Scarbrand probably. His Exalted Bloodthirster has now got some trouble. He's going to be getting picked at, and that's a Frostbite attack too, so it's going to hurt his speed pretty bad. It's going to slow him down a lot. Those Ice Guard do some pretty nice damage from range. It's not something you want to sit back and experience. But, you know, supplies are limited, and I'm struggling to get a hold of point 2 again. I just don't have the weight of units, especially with another warrior with halberd coming out here. I'm short on the capability to capture. So although I've made it difficult for Khorne to just kill all my units quickly, I'm struggling to find a way to keep enough capture power on a capture point. I almost wonder if maybe this strategy works a little better with a bunch of cheap Cassars with spears, just because they have decent melee defense and they can shoot from range. And you still bring a lot of sleds and stuff, but the Cassar spears are just kind of capture power, right, that you need in here. Look at how bad that Exalted Bloodthirster is getting beat back. So they have to fall back, and here comes another Warbear Rider. So at least we've got a challenge going here. And I'm going to continue to harass and challenge here in the middle. You can see I've got my my sleds just firing away, maybe a little bit of friendly fire there by accident, but Khorne is paying a hefty price here with his infantry, just getting shot by those sleds. But at the same time, if I can't make a capture, I'm going to lose the battle. So something has to give here. We've got to make it happen. So I've got my Ice Guards firing away into this fight. You're going to see the Exalted Bloodthirster making another run for my sleds. I'm going to fall back closer to my Ice Guard, where I can at least have a little bit of melee staying power, and I'm going to bring my bears in if necessary. This sled was almost dead, so I went ahead and allowed it to go ahead and act as a bit of a distraction there to keep them busy while my bears came in here to kill the Flesh Hounds, which were about to get an easy kill with my Ice Guard, and I didn't want that, so I should be able to finish those units off. And the harassment continues on this flank, but more reinforcements coming up from Khorne. It looks like some more Skull Crushers rolling in, so we got some more heavy cavalry. I do have bears in the vicinity, but he's also got halberds in the vicinity. See, the score is now evening up, and the pressure is going to really be on me to get some capturing done. I have a little bit of momentum here, though. Exalted Bloodthirster is weak. If he goes down, then he's going to lose a major mobility piece that he badly needs. That could be potentially good for me. You can see I'm going to bring the sleds in and stay very mobile. Use my armored Cassars here to cause a lot of damage with their precursor weapons. Sleds are taking some damage, but they're also dealing a fair bit of damage here and keeping the infantry busy while I move in with some other units to try and get into an advantageous position. And then I've got units, and so this is going to force him to try and keep guarding 3 as well. I'm going to have pressure on him from 2 directions. Now, in the meantime, those Skull Crushers are moving in as reinforcements. I'm going to need my bears to get in there and try and counter. I used my weakened Ice Guard unit to get a temporary hold here so my sleds could get some rear charge. My bears see the incoming threat. They're going to get on it. Unfortunately for me, there are some Flesh Hounds that just deployed right behind that as well, so this is going to turn into another nasty fight that's honestly not great for me. And with this armored Cassar with great weapon, I should have just sat back here in the corner of this capture point and kept shooting while my sleds continued to distract. But I did get another sled unit over here, so I've got a lot of sleds on the battlefield. Some of them are heavy war sleds as well. And I decided to ignore point 3 temporarily because I really badly need another capture. So I'm going to roll everything over to point 2 and try and force Indy to now fight from behind because he's got so many units on 3. But it's a desperate gambit at this point. My Warbears are performing well, but there's a lot of weight against them in this fight. 2 full units of pretty strong attack and decent AP. Fortunately for me, my unit gets that unbreakable thing there that Kislev gets, and they're going to stay in the fight just a little longer and cause a lot of damage. I got the other Warbear Rider now coming in, but now we've got some Exalted Bloodletters headed this way as well. So that is going to be a challenging fight. However, point 2 is starting to capture, and in fact, I got the capture. So this game is going to remain very close for the time being. And here comes the Exalted Bloodthirster. I'm going to put some shots on him immediately with the Ice Guard. That's going to apply the Frostbite, slow him down, and cause good damage. I don't have everything I want to fight that Bloodthirster right now, but my range units are causing some pretty extreme damage. And now just the sheer number of sleds I have on the field is going to be causing a lot of problems for Khorne. It is very close. Indy's still getting points, but he's ahead, and he's getting close to the 5,000. So this is going to be a very, very tight ending indeed, and should be pretty exciting. So hope you all enjoy it. Yeah, the Exalted Bloodthirsters are trying to move down. They're clogged up in sleds. I have a few Warbear Riders left, and again, you can see the point total here is very, very tight. I'm calling in whatever reinforcements I can get. I've got some armored Cassars. I have even more light war sleds coming in, so I have a ton of sleds at this point, so Khorne infantry is going to be challenged. But right when I didn't need it, Here comes another dadgum bloodthirster. So my sleds are in big trouble. Look at the points here. So close on points as we come up to the finish line. This bloodthirster is going to be a huge threat to my sleds, and it's going to make things really challenging here. I've got to get these armored Cassars moved in. I haven't moved them up yet because the battle's so busy. It's now coming up to be almost tied. It's very, very close. And you've got a push for the capture here from Indy Pride. And right here, it looks like I'm going to be able to pull ahead, but there's just a little room left. So at this point, it's looking pretty good for me because it's going to be difficult for Indy to decap this in time to stop the points. But he definitely has the momentum in terms of melee. Like if this battle were to go on for another minute, my army would be dead. But at this point, I got the capture I needed just in time, and I could hold just long enough to pull off the victory. So it was another very close battle. Now, I did not win every battle I played with Indy. He definitely kicked my tail, especially when he played as Tzeentch. I don't know how to deal with Tzeentch. Tzeentch is an absolute and unholy terror right now in multiplayer. It's a very good faction. Sure, there's ways to do it, but it's challenging. So this was another very tight game with Indy. A lot of fun. I mean, he absolutely bruised me bad at the beginning of this. Like, took out Katerin, beat the snot out of my units, and I was able to put together a comeback, and the sleds were a huge part of it. So sleds are a really critical unit for Kislev. They are very, very important, both in campaign and multiplayer. They're a huge component of the damage that Kislev is able to do, and they're the best anti-infantry component that Kislev has, really, just because of the damage they do when they get charging in, lights and heavies both. And they're really good from range, too, at poking at single entities and heavy cavalry. So they can do a great job of damaging those units. Warbear Riders are solid anti-large. They're not absolutely amazing, but they are pretty good. And against a faction like Khorne, where the units are so expensive, it's not a bad trade for Kislev to be bringing in these expensive Warbear Riders, because Khorne can only afford so many units there too, because like I said, everything from Khorne is crazy expensive. Let's look at some of my units, see what kind of damage we got. Katerin got dumped on. She did absolutely nothing, so she is the false queen indeed. My Arscar did okay in this preliminary army, not great. And then you start looking at the sleds, that's where the value started to come in. Honestly, my Cassars did pretty well here too. I'm pretty proud of them. When they get to use those precursor weapons, they tend to balance out decently. I never called in any Zargard. I had one unit just in case it was needed, but you can see I had other sleds come in. This one right here also got good value, decent value from one of my heavies. The other one just didn't get enough play time to get any value. The Warbear Riders, not bad, you know, especially considering this one died. I mean, that was pretty good, and then this one was doing well too. So decent value from all my troops. If we look, the Exalted Bloodthirster did very well for Indy. He did a great job of keeping it alive all the way to the end there and not getting too overly delved into an engagement where it got killed by my sleds. And then, of course, you can see this Bloodthirster that he brought in at the end. It would have caused tremendous damage to me. Look at this on the Fleshhound. I think it got used a couple of times, but still, that Fleshhound, man, those are solid units. Like, Fleshhounds are really good in the right scenarios. And then look at this Exalted Bloodletter. This one just absolutely crapped on some of my units, apparently, getting tons of kills. Then you can see here, these Skull Crushers did pretty well. Not amazing, but decent, you know, all things considered, based on what they were fighting. So, nice performance from them. Appreciate Indy playing these battles with me. He's an awesome guy. You should check out his channel. He's over at Milk and Cookies Total War. He's bigger than me in the Total War scene in terms of getting a lot of views and other stuff going on in videos. He's a great channel, great guy. Love spending time with him. I actually got to meet him in real life a couple times at CA events. He's awesome. If you haven't checked out Milk and Cookies Total War, which I'm assuming most of you have, you should definitely go check it out. Appreciate him playing with this. Had fun, and I'll have more videos for y'all soon, so stay tuned. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now.